My 28F chronically unemployed, mentally/physically ill, pothead sister 22F is pregnant with another kid she can't afford. I don't know how to respond, or whether a response is even needed. My sister and I have never been particularly close. Our mom was mentally ill and abusive, so we mostly focused on surviving growing up. When she got older I gave her some sisterly advice about work, life, etc. as best I could, gave her groceries, drove her to work, whatever I could reasonably do. Don't date losers. Don't take meth from the cooks at work. And of course, don't get pregnant. And yet, at one point, she mentioned her coworker was pregnant, and it seemed like it solved all her problems. I told her no way, it makes more problems if you're not ready, but apparently I didn't get through. 2 years ago, whilst living with our mom, she and her boyfriend got pregnant. Still not sure if it was an accident, FWIW. They couldn't afford rent and most of their money went to weed. They both smoked like chimneys, and CPS was dispatched to their house following my nephew's birth because they found THC in his umbilical cord. Today, they are living with members of the boyfriend's family, still unable to afford their own place. With their stimulus money, my sister bought herself new clothes, toys, and a Switch. Then she calls our dad saying she needs groceries because she has no money. Same day she sends us all an ultrasound photo with the caption "surprise." She's pregnant again and on purpose, this time. Over the last week she's had a ton of complications. She's anemic, malnourished, dehydrated, uterus issues, and cannot go an hour or so without smoking weed, otherwise she gets very sick. In all this, her existing child still doesn't talk, is showing anger issues, and spends a lot of time watching videos on a cell phone. Again, I'm not close with my sister, but I care about her. When she was pregnant with #1 I offered to pay for an abortion in case she was scared and changed her mind. I did the same thing this time, but she took it terribly and blocked me. Now our mom is denigrating me, saying I shouldn't have done that, but I can't apologize for giving her an out of an ill-advised situation. I would want it, if I were her. I'm feeling guilty, because I'm furious with her for putting her existing child, who is already neglected and developmentally hurt, in this position. She can't emotionally, physically, or financially support another child. Our entire family stepped in the first time to buy her the stuff she needed, and I think she's counting on us to do it again. I think I overstepped. At the same time, neither of our parents have stepped up to tell her this is a terrible idea. Maybe I'm being selfish, because I couldn't live with myself if I didn't at least offer a way out of this to my sister. I'm so disappointed in her, but her kid doesn't deserve this. I worry that, if I step up to support this again, she'll feel enabled to keep having kids. Talong didn't read my disaster sister as having another kid she can't afford. Should I cut ties, or hang in there, and be supportive when she's sick, and broke of her own making? Honestly, I don't support any of this. But the guilt is getting me. I still care. What would you do? Am I being a jerk? Bottom line, your sister is an adult and her choices are hers to make, even if they're bad choices. It's good that you care, it really is. But you can't force someone to listen to you, or make better choices. She's going to have to live with the consequences of her own actions. It's terrible her children will be paying the price along with her, but you can't really do anything about it. Unless the kids are in a serious danger of neglect or abuse, in which case CPS is the only way to get them help. That's where the guilt comes in. If I can help the kids in some way, shouldn't I, you know? But how far will that go? And I feel like I owe my sister something, because my mom let us down so much. And the cycle is repeating. It's so painful. Thank you for responding. I'm not hesitant about contacting CPS, but from personal experience with my own mom, emotional abuse doesn't usually rank high for them. Yup, everybody gets to screw up their lives however they want to. It's painful to watch, but there's no way to stop them if they are determined to act a fool. All of society gets to live with her choices. I know Reddit always jumps to call CPS over dumb BS that won't get any response from CPS, but that sounds like actually CPS worthy issue. She's doing drugs, yes, weed counts. So does alcohol, while pregnant. She is doing irreparable harm to her kids. I doubt they're getting adequate nutrition or the mental stimulation that's crucial for development. Totally agree with this. I believe if there are any drugs in her system at the time she gives birth, the hospital will see it on a blood test and inform CPS. But of course at that point the poor baby has 9 months of drug and alcohol abuse, so ideally CPS involvement would happen much sooner. I say this as someone who spent years in the system as a kid. CPS isn't perfect, but they're a lot better than the media makes them out to be. The vast majority of the time, children only get taken away when they absolutely need to, and even if the situation they are put into isn't the best, it's better than what they were removed from, which is the whole point. Weed has been shown to have severe effects on developing fetuses, on par with using opiates while pregnant. Studies have demonstrated that children exposed to marijuana in utero have up to a 20% cognitive deficit compared to their peers. CPS doesn't have jurisdiction to force drug tests on pregnant women. They only have jurisdiction after children are born. With a child already in the home, depending on the state, they may or may not take action about weed being smoked in close proximity to a small child. Our entire family stepped in the first time to buy her the stuff she needed, and I think she's counting on us to do it again. It's fine if your family wants to help her out, but you are under no obligation to do so. You could always just wish her the best of luck and continue to stay no contact. Contrary to a lot of quite reactionary advice you might find in this sub, you don't have to react in a way that makes a statement about your position on her situation. I have a sister who, let's say we see life differently. I get it. I spent a long time trying to get her to wake up and grow up. Take it from me, decades down the line, it doesn't work. The urge to change must come from her. You can't force an epiphany, so it may never come. I know it's a sucker punch when you think of the kids, and that history is repeating, but your role in this is not to fix your sister. You can't. It's a fool's errand. What you can do, when she makes choices you believe are positive for her, go ahead and be supportive and helpful. When she doesn't, just hold your tongue. You don't have to praise her, offer financial help, etc. Just step back. When her kids need someone, be there. Because they will. But you can't intervene until then. They aren't your kids. Retreat from this level of involvement in her life. She is an adult. She does not need your approval. She certainly doesn't seem to appreciate your attempts to coerce her into what you believe to be the right thing. You're not her, and she's not a faulty version of you that you need to fix. You need to get out of her life and get on with your own. You can't control your sister, only your relationship with her. You can say your piece, and if she wants to block you over that, well, there you go. No big loss. At the end of the day, your sister is a child abuser. I don't think it's controversial advice to avoid relationships with child abusers. Oh, and hey, maybe cut off your abusive mother? Honestly, why do you even entertain her opinion on the matter for an instant, considering she abused you when you were a kid? Her opinion is garbage. Discard it accordingly. Honestly, why do you even entertain her opinion on the matter? This is personal, so I think it varies by individual. Because she has apologized, made real strides in bettering herself, and is actively working on repairing her relationship with us. She has real regrets and wants to do better, and is doing better. I had long years of anger over the past, went to therapy, decided to try and have some sort of contact, and so we are here. Honestly, I wouldn't help out. If you want to create a savings for the kids, that's fine, but I wouldn't help out your sister for the reasons you provided. You're enabling her behavior. She knows her family is going to bail her out. Yeah, we have a college savings account for the first kid, but IDK about setting up another. Damn. What's up with the GETS sick if she doesn't smoke for an hour thing? That's really weird. I can really only think of 3 ways this could happen. She's smoking something other than weed. She's sick all the time. Weed just covers it up, so she doesn't feel it. She's lying. Any ideas, op? I'm kind of thinking CPS should be called either way. I smoke weed too, but every hour. And with a kid and financial issues, if it's the second option, she needs to be checked out by a doctor. So when I say she smokes a lot, I mean a lot. And not from a proper bong or anything. From a plastic jug. IDK much about weed. But she says she gets sick when she goes long without. And I've seen it. And she doesn't eat because she's nauseated all the time and so skinny because of it. To be honest, and I will underscore that I don't know for a fact, she smoked throughout her pregnancy and has continued while breastfeeding, and her kiddo came out, how to put this, lethargic, had trouble breathing, didn't cry, almost 2 years old and doesn't speak. I dunno man. I don't know much about weed, but it feels related. She absolutely needs medical care. She's on bed rest with a banana bag at home because she's in such bad shape after her last op visit. I understand feeling bad for the child, but she is not your responsibility. You've already given her as much as you can, and she is clearly hellbent on making bad decisions. Let your parents and her BS parents take care of them if they want to. You can't always be there to bail her out. She'll never be held accountable that way or learn to stand on her own 2 feet. Eater, I agree. If you think the children are at serious risk of neglect/abuse, the best thing you can do is just report it to CPS and hope for the best. Being a child of an abusive and mentally ill mother, I can only suggest you report your sister's family to a proper institution. You won't achieve much by trying to talk sense to her, sadly. No response is needed right now. You're right to be angry and frustrated, but you should not have offered to pay for the abortion unless she was very specifically talking about struggling to afford one. You said you had every reason to believe she was happy and the pregnancy was even planned, so talking about abortion was the wrong thing to say. That was not wise or respectful. It'd be smart now to acknowledge to your mother that you made a mistake, to open up the conversation about abortion with your sister. That needed to be her subject to introduce, not yours. I don't think you're being a jerk, but you aren't accepting your sister for who she is, bad decisions and all. And that is gonna make you miserable. It's up to you if you can be in your sister's life in any way that is respectful to her and healthy for you. It sounds like you can't. That's okay. Decide how present you can be, if at all. If there is serious danger to the children, call CPS. You said you had every reason to believe she was happy. Not at all this. She is miserable, sick, sad, lonely, stressed, constantly complaining to our mother about how bad her life is. I don't think you're being a jerk, but you aren't accepting your sister for who she is, bad decisions and all. And that is gonna make you miserable. There's a lot of truth in that. Thanks. You cannot control your sister's reproductive choices. And frankly, offering to pay for an abortion a second time when it was already clear to you that your sister wanted this pregnancy was over the line. You owe her an apology for that. You don't have to support your sister's choices, but you do need to back off. If you have reason to believe that these kids are in danger or being neglected, then contact the proper authorities and let them handle it. In the meantime, try to separate your feelings about your sister from your feelings about her children. They are going to need a stable influence in their lives and someone to remind them that they do not exist purely to please their mother and or solidify her relationships. They are people wholly apart from your sister. If you want a relationship with them, if you want to make sure they have their basic needs met, then put the whole "am I enabling my sister?" question out of your mind. She's going to do as she pleases, whether you're involved or not. Considering what you said about your mom, her opinion would mean nothing. I'm not a fan of people bringing in babies when they can't afford. If they can't take care of the child, why even bother and destroy a human life? It's stupid. You said the right thing, but going to abortion might not have been the best. You could have just talked to her the issues. I'm sure throwing facts at her would also have her shut you down, so the result would not have been different, but you could have less guilt. Asking to abort is not seen positively by many just for that case. Scientists should invent something that would block reproduction ability of such idiots. Unfortunately, that's not something we can look forward to. Just wish. As much of a basket case as your sister is, it's a little tactless to offer abortion money to people. It shows how you truly feel. Generally, you should feel them a little bit and find out if they want to keep the baby or not. You gave away that you think she's not a responsible parent. As true as that is, it's not surprising the way she reacted. Now if you're actually worried about your nephew, you should call CPS. Let them decide what's in the child's best interest. I understand what it's like to be in a position where you feel like you need to protect the world from your sibling, because I'm going through that right now as well. In the end, it's not your job. Other people are adults and are responsible for their own decisions and mistakes. It's up to you whether or not to cut ties. I don't see a strong reason either way. You might feel compelled to be a positive influence in her life or your nieces and nephews. You might consider apologizing to your sister. On the other hand, maybe being honest with her is the best policy. If you can't control your judginess around her, then you may not be capable of having a relationship with her. You don't have to be supportive, but I do think you should apologize. I'm staunchly pro-choice, but if someone takes offense to your offer to pay for an abortion, then it shouldn't be so hard to say I understand, I'm sorry. What's killing you is the ambiguity. It's stressing you out so much that it's literally putting you in fight or flight mode. Should I cut ties or hang in there and be supportive? Those aren't your only two options. You should continue a relationship without getting close enough so that her problems end up on her lap. You can help her with time and money if you want to, but set limits because she has put herself in a situation where she will be dependent. This is pretty far beyond overstepping. When someone announces their pregnancy in happy terms, the only thing you can say is congratulations. Offering to pay for an abortion for a planned pregnancy is not a great look. Is having a second baby when you can't afford to feed the first a great idea? Of course not. It's terrible and stupid, but for the kind of person it seems like your sister is, telling her so is just not worth the bother. You're finding that out now because you told her and you're experiencing the bother, and it's not great. You accomplished nothing. In the future, say congrats and leave it be. And for God's sake, stop giving her money if you are giving her money. You can't control what your parents or the baby daddy's parents do. All you can control is what you do. I disagree. Congratulations when you don't mean it is meaningless. She doesn't have to, especially considering the circumstances with her sister's other child, which is super concerning. Not talking and anger issues is a big warning sign. If anything, Op should say nothing, but be willing to cooperate with CPS and keep an eye out for more warning signs. Yeah, you've echoed my mom's words. I felt like a tool saying it, but I wanted the last thing I said to her to be, if you need a way out, I'm here. And I meant not just abortion, but possible adoption, etc. Alternatives to raising the child herself. I didn't know how to say it better than that. FWIW, I don't give her money, just buy her groceries and baby stuff. Take a deep breath and step back, way back. If she seems to neglect the child or you feel the kid is at risk, call social services. Otherwise, let her get the money to support the child. You did it the first time. Let her face the consequences of her irresponsible behavior now, or she'll keep producing these kids and expecting others to support them. BKCWARE family. I see this time and time again. Don't fall for the okie dokie. Not your circus, not your clowns. If you're ready and willing to take your sister's children, I might recommend calling CPS. It's obvious that she can't care for them, and they are suffering from severe neglect. Her children are also young enough that might find a family that wants them and can care for them if you are unable to do so. I have a friend who I don't think should have had her kid when she did, and she's talking of #2, and I have different concerns now. She loves her kid, but goddamn, that woman has a lot working against her, and it's about to get much harder, because I can't tell her what to do with her body or life. It sucks when we see or think someone can do better, or should do better, but this is just how it goes. Love the kid, give them a supportive aunt role and a positive role model to look up to, ensure they have food, heat and love. That's all. I can see that you obviously do care and that your intentions were good, but honestly, when someone tells you about a planned pregnancy and your first reaction is to offer her money for an abortion, that is never going to go well. No matter how ill-advised the baby plans may be and how unsweeted to parenting she is, you can't fix this for her. I think you honestly need to step back from your family a little. Perhaps send your sister a card saying that you're sorry you overstepped, but you're worried about her and your niece/nephew, and that if she needs your support you'll be there for her. Don't help her out financially. Could you help a little with the toddler? Spend some time with them, give them your attention without a screen. That would be a massive help to their development, and having a safe, reliable adult who loves them and is consistent can make all the difference. I would advise you to also consider whether contact with your parents is in your best interests. Are you having counseling at all? I feel like you're taking on a lot of responsibility for things that are not yours to own, and I feel like you need to focus on yourself. Massive hugs. This is a horrible situation. *EDITED to add that I just saw your response below about your mum and therapy. Glad she's made improvements, but perhaps keep a little distance for your own well-being. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell for more videos. Also like the video if you enjoy it.